Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's August 28th, 2013. I haven't made a video in a while. I know it sounds stupid, but I've got all these age spots on me, and I got these little bumps growing on me. I just hate making a video. I've thought about making putting in black and white. I did that actually. Made a video or two in black and white. But I wanted to make a video. I'll try to get over it's not, I mean, I don't care that much about my appearance. It's just, gross. Terrible to get old. Wanted to make a video, needed to make one. Wanted to make one on real quick, I hope, on Snowden and Bradley Manning. And who else? Seems like there's another one in there. It's going to surprise you if you follow my videos, and especially if you read my blog, because I am very liberal. Got my communist t-shirt on here. I'm extremely liberal, proud of it. I don't think there's a thing wrong with being liberal. But I am opposed to, I don't think that Snowden or Assange, what's his name? The Twicky Leaky guy or whatever, and Bradley. I don't think any of those guys are heroes. I'm not admirers of them at all. And I think a lot of liberals are, and I fall in with reactionary Republicans and teabag people on this. I do not think those people are heroic or honorable. I have strong objections to them. Let me just take Snowden. I do not think that, we have material, and I've commented on this before. Yes, the government classifies stuff as secret and top secret that they shouldn't. Yes, the government, of course, is going to, if they have something wrong, if they can, they're going to try to, which I think is actually illegal for them. I think it's actually written that it's illegal for them to do that, but they're going to try to classify it top secret, But there is information that needs to be secret, and it shouldn't be leaked. And I don't understand the people who think it's okay for Snowden and these other people to take classified information and steal it or misappropriate this information. And some of the people would say, well, yeah, they shouldn't have done that. But they think, okay, as soon as they give it to the news media, well, that's okay, because the news media can then sort through it, and a news media can decide what's appropriate to be released. And it's okay because the news media, the news media has that. I just don't understand this thinking. The news media doesn't have top secret clearance. They don't have the expertise to see what is vital information and what isn't vital information. I think the news media should be held to the same standard as anyone else. I think if the news media if some news reporter is contacted by Snowden or somebody else and they say, I've got this top secret information here and I want to give it to you, I think if the news media person doesn't contact federal authorities and say, I was just contacted by a person who has top secret information they want to give to me, I think the news media reporter should be arrested for that. But if the news media person, when he takes that information, I think he should be arrested for, possession of stolen information and top secret information. And if he divulges any of the information, he should be arrested for for that treason or whatever you want to call it. I think the New York Times or Washington Post or whoever, if they publish it, I think the people who are responsible. I you can't throw the printer or the guy that delivers it. He doesn't know. I think the FBI should go in and handcuff the publisher and editor-in-chief, the reporters, and I know we're all for freedom of the press and freedom of speech. I think they ought to just be just shut down the New York Times for a month, which probably would put him out of business. I mean, to shut him down I have absolutely no sympathy for them. And I also have blogged about this repeatedly. I don't think the news media should have any extra privileges than I have. I don't think they should have the ability to withhold information from a court if they're asked. I don't think they should have any special privileges. And it goes down to, I've seen this on a small local level. I've seen news people who are news reporters or whatever, or news vans or whatever, that are speeding or driving the wrong way on a street or violating all types of and they get by with it because they're the news media, and they shouldn't. Can I drive the wrong way down the street? Can I go speeding? Can I so I don't think they should. I think they should have absolutely no special privileges. Now, why am I so opposed and so aggravated and so upset that this type of information is released? I think that the smallest piece of information that may not seem significant at all, a little tiny piece of information that gets, of course they're releasing megadata, trigabyte, I don't know how much is out there. I think a small little piece of information you have absolutely no idea, and you may never realize, something that Snowden may have released, or one of those others, could do devastating, horrendous, disastrous damage to me and to the rest of the people and to the United States of America. As I'm sure you all know, the way we captured, that we found Osama bin Laden, was we had a little tiny piece of data someplace. Finally, we found this little tiny piece of data someplace that this one person had been a messenger before for Osama bin Laden. So it was like, okay, let's find this guy. We found him, and then he was still the messenger, and we knew where he went, and that's how we got Osama bin Laden. If that information had been, disclosed, or if our techniques and all this had been, that could have been, that'd be one example of something. Also, if the enemy knows what we look for, what we find, what we're doing, then they're going to, right now, I'm sure, terrorists are planning, wanting to attack us in various areas. And what they look at is, okay, how can we avoid, okay, we don't want to use our cell phones. We got to be, now we got to be careful. Make sure that we don't use the same messenger, twice. And they look at all these little pieces of things, and they're sitting there thinking, what can they do? And if they are successful, if there was something that they didn't know, if they hadn't thought of never using the same messenger twice, or of course they know not to use a cell phone, but all this other information that comes out, if we tipped them off in some way to make them do something different, and if that's the thing that makes them successful in doing their attack, then another example, going back to the Cuban Missile Crisis. If you're not old enough to remember them, look that up and read about it sometime. The United States and the USSR came toe to toe. I mean, it looked like nuclear war was going to happen for sure, and it's a miracle that it did not happen. General Curtis LeMay, who was head of Strategic Air Command, we found out later on uh, that on numerous occasions, and he's a hero to us. Well, probably a hero to a lot of Americans, but he's especially a hero to the right wing and to hawkish, warish people. He headed up the Strategic Air Command, and we know now that he called for on numerous occasions using nuclear weapons. He was telling the president or the Joint Chiefs of Staff or the Secretary of Defense or whatever, use the nuclear weapons. Let me turn loose the bombers on them and I'll bring them to their knees. And in the Cuban Missile Crisis, that same, let me use the nukes on Cuba. Let me, and luckily President Kennedy really, and his advisors, I mean, they really, it was close and they did the right things and the right, it was just luck. I mean, a lot of it was luck. But we were so close to nuclear war. The President of the United States had, told the American people and had told the Soviet Union, that these nuclear missiles that have been put into Cuba have to be removed right now, immediately. If there is any nuclear strike by Cuba against, anywhere, not just against the United States, anywhere in this hemisphere, if there is a strike, we will consider it a nuclear attack from the USSR and we will respond with a full retaliatory strike. So, of course, some military advisors were, and of course, the president got them ready. Got an invasion force, was, getting it ready to go into Cuba. But he was looking for, this is bad. I mean, Russian ships are heading towards Cuba. Russian nuclear submarines are heading towards Cuba. And one of the things that somebody did and that Kennedy used, there was somebody we had who had a contact, somebody's name, a friend of his or something, a relationship with a USSR citizen who had some contacts. And so we got a message through, President Kennedy sent, this is like a last straw type situation. Sent this message through, and this guy got the message through and got a message back. If there had been a Snowden back then who had leaked that man's name, that Russian, or if that person had to fear that his name was going to be leaked at some point, there wouldn't have been that contact, and we might have gone to nuclear war. What we did not know at the time, the President of the United States didn't know, what our military didn't know, what our CIA did not know, which we found out later on when the Soviet Union collapsed. We did not know, we knew that they had nuclear missiles there, or were just getting ready to turn the key on them. They might have turned the key on a couple of them, right at the last minute. What we did not know was that the Russian general who was there and who had the authority, we did not know that he had a few tactical nuclear weapons, that he had the authority. It was up to him. He could use them if he needed to use them. And I saw an interview with him, on TV recently, or a little documentary done or whatever. He said yes, that he had them, and he said that if there had been an invasion, if the U.S. had launched the invasion, that he was going to use them and that he would have used them. And we were readying our force to invade Cuba. I can't remember now how many forces it would have been, whether it was going to be 20,000 or 30,000 or whatever, but this Russian general said that he would have fired off, and he would have hit the invasion force, and it would have totally, it would have totally wiped it out. We would have lost our entire invasion force. We would have lost, I don't know how many men, ships, men. The president would not have had any choice. Wouldn't have had any choice except to launch, that would have been nuclear war with the Soviet Union. If that had happened today, I don't know what, I'm not sure what the situation, I mean, it would be devastating. It would have been unbelievable disaster. We don't have anything to compare it with. Little tiny little bits of information, something that you think is absolutely insignificant. So that's my, now I feel sorry for Assange or whatever, not Assange, what's it, WikiLeaks or whatever. I think the guy's an arrogant bastard. I hope he has to stay in that embassy for the rest of his fucking life. I hope he dies in there or whatever. Bradley Manning, he's got, what, 35, was it 35 years or whatever? Of course, they say that he could get out in 2020. I think he has mental problems, psychological problems or whatever, but he deserves to be, I mean, I feel sorry for the guy, but what he did, and a message has to be sent that you cannot be releasing confidential, information or whatever. Snowden, I have no sympathy for him at all. Anyway, I wanted to comment on that. I think a lot of you people are not going to agree with me because I know that a lot of people think that... Anyway, if you follow I've switched my keyboard. Again, I still, I missed the lighted part. That's the, this one is not lighted. But it's got some pretty neat keys. This one where you can zoom in and out. That's pretty neat. And then this one, you hit it and you have your pages, your things show up or whatever. So if I have 2 or 3 browsers and have something or whatever, I hit that and they all show up as little panels there. Sort of like Linux, and then you can click on it. Well, pretty neat. But I missed the lighted keyboard. When I read my porn or whatever at night, I feel so guilty. I turn out all the lights and it's dark in here and I can't find the page down key to go down the... What? Did I say that out loud? Anyway, thanks for watching.